This must be where pies go when they die.
You're the most cold-blooded man I've ever seen.
How can you have any meat if you don't eat your purdy?
There is no escaping here.
Overnight had a stroke, which is why we should give every beggar in Britain a free rescue dog. Free call 0500 1053 89. I'm sorry, I've had such a good idea. I couldn't wait to get started. So I've explained what I want to talk about today, and I hope you can help me with what I consider to be one of the finest pieces of constructive thinking you're likely to hear on this radio or any radio anywhere this year. Free call 0500 1053 89. Give every beggar, give every tramp, give every homeless person, give every hobo, give everybody who likes to sleep in shop doorways or on park benches or underneath upturned dinghies on the beach a free rescue dog. A rescue dog, a dog that's been handed in to an RSPCA centre or an animal home or an animal rescue centre or a dog welfare home, which, if it's not claimed, let's remember, after, is it 6 weeks? I understand it can be as short a time as 3 weeks. That dog will die. Will die, you see. Free call 0500 1053 89. This blindingly obvious and superb solution to two enormous problems occurred to me when I was talking to a man who calls himself Jake most of the time. Sometimes, for some reason, he says his name's Phil. And he works the dozen or so shop doorways about 100 yards down from Talk Radio. So we chat from time to time. And on Friday, he told me that things were going swimmingly, sat there where he was with a roll-up cigarette, and his dog, who he had called Meg. Meg was a pretty scrawny-looking black thing, obviously not a pedigree animal. You tend not to get pedigree animals at dog rescue centres, and in any case, pedigree pets wouldn't really suit the homeless, would they? Free call 0500 1053 89. Give every beggar in Britain a free rescue dog, and you will save a dog's life and dramatically improve the life of a destitute person. One, Jake assured me, as you know, as you would have guessed, but Jake gave it me from the horse's mouth, having a dog increases your begging revenue. Whilst from time to time somebody will simply give you something that can only be used for the dog, and I have a mother-in-law who will always buy a tin of dog meat for the dog, but she says that she won't even buy a tin of baked beans for the man because she says, well, that's different, isn't it? He does have choices in the matter. Nevertheless, it seems that people are more likely to part with a little bit of their hard-earned if they believe that there is a downtrodden dog to care about than if they believe there's just a downtrodden human being to care about. Free call 0500 1053 89. Give every beggar in Britain a free rescue dog. This idea has occurred to you in the past. Now we can put some flesh and some nuts and bolts on something quite superb. A single idea which solves two pressing problems. We don't want dogs to die. Who are these people who buy dogs? What? As a fashion accessory, or because they believe their home isn't happy enough, or because their carpets smell too nice, or their sofa doesn't look frayed enough, and then realise after 2 or 3 weeks just what having a dog involves, and so what do? Leave it somewhere on the motorway? Or take it to a faraway park and, in inverted commas, let it go? I thought we'd passed through that stage as a society, now that you no longer see dogs released on the pitch at football matches. But apparently it goes on. And apparently November and December is the time that an awful lot of dog breeders aim for. Yeah, they aim to have litters available around about then because they know that there's a boost in the Christmas market. And they, it seems, the breeders don't care so much about what happens to their dog come the third week in January. Free call 0500 1053 89. There are more pressing animal welfare problems, I agree, but this is one of them. A surfeit of perfectly healthy men's best friends. Free call 0500 1053 89. We'll save a dog's life if we hand it over to a homeless person. How do they put down dogs anyway? Does anybody know how they do that? I always wondered from the very first time I came across the idea of a dog being put to sleep, which was the euphemism, which was a dog that we owned, which bit me, and my parents simply took the dog away and came back a couple of hours later and said that Tansy had been put to sleep. It's a small issue. It's one we'll discover, something we'll discover. as the hour unfolds. I pause to take an urgent call from Carol, who calls from Kidderminster. Carol, welcome to Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I feel really, that you're being quite offensive by saying people who choose to sleep under, cardboard boxes and things like that. I mean, they don't choose to be there in the first place. So, firstly, are you trying to be funny?
Oh, no.
Secondly,
this is far too serious a matter.
Sorry, giving them all a dog.
Yes.
For instance, the RSPCA, they have home checks on people before dogs can go out. I mean, a lot of the homeless people can't even afford to, support themselves, never mind a dog as well.
But you see, Carol, what you don't realise is that you're on my side on this one. No, they can't support themselves, but they'll be able to support themselves all the better if they have a dog.
I think it's very nice to see a homeless person with a dog and they're looking after them.
Yes.
But that's so patronising.
I don't see why it's patronising.
You've got the money to look after yourself and keep a home over your head. So have I.
But I'm concerned about the homeless. You're not.
Oh, of course I am.
Well, what are you doing about it?
What am I doing about it? What do you want me to do?
What are you doing about it? I care. I'm devoting an hour of my precious...
I buy the big issue, like everybody else. I do what I can. I can't take somebody into my home.
I'm doing what I can.
No, I don't think so. By suggesting... I mean, that's irresponsible.
How dare you?
Suggesting... What do you mean?
How dare you?
How dare I?
Do you have any idea how lonely it must be being a homeless person? Do you?
I've been homeless myself.
Well, wouldn't you have benefited from having a mog? A pooch?
I don't think so. Not another responsibility, having, to look after myself and...
Take this issue. What exercise do beggars get during the day? Very little, because they tend to... No.
Calling them beggars.
Well, beggars are beggars, aren't they? What are they? What word would you like to use? Thank you. I think that settled that argument.
Well, of course.
Yes, right.
You can always put the phone down, can't you?
I haven't put the phone down.
You're outdone.
What do you mean outdone? What else are you going to call beggars if they're begging and you don't want to call them beggars? What do you call them?
Patronising idiots like you.
She's gone. Away she goes. Away she goes. Free call 0500 10 53 89. That's what we're up against on a show like this. People who have no roof over their heads are often also deprived of an essential form of emotional nutrition, company, warmth at night when they are asleep, and the sense of responsibility which one usually acquires when one has a pet to look after is also something which they are deprived of. And they're deprived of the exercise which they will get if they have to walk a dog in the morning and the evening, just as all dog owners do. And they'll get to meet other dog owners. And the process of reintroducing them to a caring society may begin because we provide Britain's beggars with a free rescue dog. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Fred's our next caller in London. Fred, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you. Is that Tommy?
Welcome to Talk Radio.
Oh, yeah, good afternoon. Is that Tommy Boyd?
Sir.
Yeah. I don't know what planet you're on, but give a beggar a dog. I mean, a beggar's got enough to do. What you're calling them beggars, I wouldn't call them beggars. They're just people that are unemployed, or a lot of them don't want to work. Okay, we got it right there. But the thing is, calling them beggars, isn't it enough to do? Give them a free dog. What about free food? How are they going to feed the dog? What sort of dog are you going to give them? A poodle, an Alsatian, a Labrador?
That's a very good question, and I think you'll find that they will say that a mongrel works best.
A mongrel?
Yes.
What? Oh, yeah, you give a mongrel a mongrel.
A mongrel with baleful eyes and its tail pushed down between its legs, its head hung low.
Oh, yeah. And people are going to feel sorry for him. What, are they going to bring bones for the dog? What are they going to give the beggar?
The beggars report that it increases their income.
Yeah, because people have got more sympathy for animals than what they got for human beings.
Well spotted, Fred. I can see you slept in the knife drawer last night.
Yeah, I did. I've got my own comfortable little flat. I live on my own.
You're catching up here, are you?
Sorry?
You're catching up with all this complicated thinking, are you? Good.
Well, I've only just got in the van and started driving. I've just left work. I'm going to another job now.
How interesting.
And
Thank you for the background.
I just started listening. I was listening to you talking to that other woman. She started making sense, and then she got a bit frustrated and hung up.
Terrific. What's the weather like where you are? Fred, we've got a serious issue, two serious issues on our hands here, and we believe that at a stroke we can mitigate both. One, the surfeit of unwanted pets who end up being put to sleep, as it's euphemistically called. Two, the surfeit of people, and look, you're calling from London. London is awash with people who have no companionship and who are sleeping alone and rough.
Well, I sleep alone, but I'm not a beggar. And I don't have to sleep rough, because luckily I've got a job, and, you know, I'm happy enough. I've got a few quid in my pocket every week. I can feed myself. I don't have to go begging.
No. And devil will take the hindmost. Fred, stay tuned. You might learn something. Nick calls now from Oxford. Nick, welcome to Talk Radio.
Thank you very much indeed, Tommy.
Sir.
I was listening to you just a couple of minutes ago when you were speaking to the woman.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely dead right about some of these people who do sleep out by choice. Now, I'm not thinking, this isn't an anecdotal story. It's not, to illustrate a point. This is a fact, and it concerns a particular individual whose name, obviously, I will not give. He's approximately 40 years of age. He's never, ever in his life worked. There's no reason why he shouldn't. He actually did get a job with help from people, and it did his head in, as he said. So he packed it in, and it was a good job for his talents. Anyway, he now sleeps out. He has a tame landlord somewhere, so he can claim his housing benefit. He gets his income support. He also has a dog.
Now where did he get the dog from, Nick?
Oh, well, he needed the dog, Tommy. That was the first thing, one of the first accoutrements he got.
But you see, it's not easy to buy on the open market the right kind of dog for this kind of work.
Sure. Yeah, the baleful look is very, very important.
Very important.
But you see, Tommy, he's never bought anything in his life. He's always acquired things.
You don't like this man, do you?
Oh, I do.
No, you do.
He's not a bad lad in himself.
Yes.
He's not a bad lad himself. He's just completely marching to a totally different drum. The one that we don't recognise the tune of. And he was met by a relative not long ago who actually offered him money, and he said he didn't need it. And he reckoned to this particular relative he was making about 50 a day on a very good pitch here in Oxford.
I should think Oxford's a good place to work, Nick, with your dog. Thank you for your call. Free call 0500 1053 89. If we were to provide everyone who was begging for a living in Britain today with a free rescue dog, a dog that would otherwise have been put down or put to sleep as it's described, how do they do that? What is the method, the chosen method of our vets when it comes to doing away with Fido? It would mean companionship and an opportunity to come back into society for everyone who is begging for a living, and it would mean a life for a dog who would otherwise have died. Is there a problem with this idea? It seems perfect. Vanessa calls from County Armagh. Vanessa, welcome to Talk Radio.
Yes, hello, Tommy. Sorry to trouble you. Yes, I wanted to basically say this. I honestly don't think it's a good idea to have a dog with somebody that is out on the streets all the time, because they can't afford to look after themselves. They're not likely to be able to look after the dog, And there's another thing, Tommy, I wanted to say to you very quickly, was the way that the vets do put the animal down. There's two chosen methods. I'm a pet bereavement counsellor, by the way. The first way they do it is they shave the forearm and inject an overdose of barbiturates or other high anesthetic, So in other words, what they do, they overdose the dog. Now, the other way they do it, which is less humane but would be, the RSPCA have just, I think, are phasing it out, is they use sort of like a box and they electrocute the dog in large numbers.
Really? Did they used to do that?
They used to do that.
And it still goes on
They used to do it in our local dog pound here in Armagh.
Did they really? In volume or one at a time?
One at a time.
I see.
Because they said it was far cheaper doing it that way than putting it with the injection.
And was it like... Pardon me for interrupting, I just want to get the picture. Was it like some kind of an electric chair for dogs, or...
No, to be quite honest with you, the flat freezers, they put the dog inside like a freezer.
A chest freezer?
Yes. close down the chest freezer and put a certain amount of volts into the dog.
Do you know what sort of... Presumably it would be a domestic voltage, which is 200...
Yes, it would be.
I see. So they would just...
It would be just slightly larger than your average freezer you'd have at home.
So our vets who were putting our pets to sleep...
Yes.
...were in fact putting them in a deep freeze...
Well, that's at the local dog pound.
Yes.
But those that go to the vet are given an overdose of barbiturates or other high anesthetic volume, and it's put into the forearm.
Can you explain just one other thing for me, which, thank you, by the way, for the information that you've given us. A lot of people will find it very interesting. Why do they shave the dog's forearm before the injection? Is that a safety thing?
Why they do that is basically they're trying to look for the vein.
I see.
It's a quicker, our local vets try and do it the less painful way. And putting it into the vein is far quicker for the dog. And they know all the cat in that manner.
All the cat as well?
Yeah.
What about a budgerigar?
That I wouldn't know, Tommy.
I'm only asking the question.
You know, I wouldn't know about a budgerigar.
On occasions, they are put to sleep, and it would be interesting to know what is the...
Yeah, I would say it'd be more like a type of gas for them.
Gas budgerigars, would they?
Yeah.
I see, thank you. Vanessa, thank you. Obviously, your friend who is a pet bereavement counsellor has his or her work cut out in your neck of the woods.
Well, I'm the pet bereavement counsellor.
It's you, is it? I see. Thank you for your call.
As I say, sorry I can't help you anymore.
No, you've been very helpful indeed. And they shoot horses, don't they? And there's a big furore in one of my favourite sports, horse racing, still, about the use of the whip. And I have my own views on that, and I would have thought everybody does, whether or not you're interested in that sport. But for me, an even more pressing concern is what happens on the very rare occasion, but nevertheless it happens, that a horse is what is described as fatally injured on the course, and the horse is usually then done away with on the course where it lies, not before a screen is put around the horse so people can't see what is taking place. But then what happens is that the horse is usually dispatched by means of a simple shotgun, which can be heard, of course, by everybody at the racecourse, men, women and children, and indeed people living beyond the racecourse. Free call 0500 10 53 89. In the course of a discussion about a suggested resolution to two problems with one solution, one problem being the loneliness suffered by those who are homeless and who beg for a living, and also the lack of funds that line of work seems to pull down, and the problem which the RSPCA will report, and Dogs Homes from Battersea Dogs Home downward will confirm, the steady increase in the number of abandoned dogs who can't be kept forever, and eventually, unless they are claimed, they have to be put to sleep. If we provide all our beggars with a free rescue dog from these rescue centres, then it seems to me as though everybody will be happy. In the case of the dogs, everyone will be alive. The number is free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
You know, I don't want to bring this up, but you've been treating a lot of people with a lot of disrespect.
Of course, one other point which was made earlier, which hasn't yet been reacted to, is that if every beggar in Britain had a free rescue dog, well, from a nutritional point of view, whoever died first, the other one could eat him. Chris calls from Coventry. Chris, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hiya, Tommy. How you doing, man?
Chris, I'm very well, thank you for asking. And you?
Oh, you know, one of them days today. Right, the point that I'd like to make is if a vagrant or a homeless person is usually not in a position to take care of themselves, how are they in a position to take care of an animal?
This is the question you wish to ask me?
Yes.
Well, we have been over this a couple of times already, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't know if you don't pay attention or...
No, believe it or not, you're not the most important person in the world. I've had to do something.
Sorry, I'm not quite with you there.
Well, sometimes I have to turn the radio off because I've got other things to do, you see.
Well, what do you have to do that you can't listen to the radio?
Oh, I have to work.
Well, you can work and listen to the radio, I can.
No, not when you're in a car.
Yes, you can. Of course you can.
But I had to stop my car and see somebody. You're getting off the argument.
I'm not. I just asked you a perfectly simple question.
Yeah, well, what's my job got to do?
Well, don't you suppose that the calibre of my listeners have already come back at me with this point, even though I covered it in my monologue?
Well, could you please explain to me then, because I'm always interested in your opinion.
Yes,
Tommy.
I'm sure you are, and so you should be, because they are always very constructive, unlike some people's.
Of course.
Yes.
So
I have it from the horse's mouth.
Yes. What, one horse?
Well, beggars will tell you the same thing.
No. Homeless people.
Yes, beggars.
Homeless people.
I'm talking about beggars.
No.
I don't know if they're homeless or not, mate. You don't either.
Not everybody that's a vagrant is a beggar.
No, but everybody who begs is a beggar.
Oh, everybody that begs is a beggar.
Well, they're the people I'm talking about. Have you got a problem?
What, just beggars?
Yes.
Well, why do they beg?
Because they want your money.
Right, so if they want their money, they want it for alcohol or maybe drugs?
No, says who?
So the
Says
dog
who?
isn't going to get
You see,
fed anyway.
you're prejudiced.
No, I'm not prejudiced.
Yes, you are prejudiced, because
Why
that's an enormous leap of faith, what you've just said. I mean, I'm sticking to cold, clear facts here. My logic is impeccable. I'm a 2 + 2 = 4 merchant.
Yeah.
You're not.
No.
No, you're not,
always.
are you? No.
No.
No, you're a very sudden man, aren't you?
Sudden?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
1 minute we're working our way carefully through the 1 minute we're working our way carefully through the parameters of this discussion, and the next minute you are launching yourself like an intercontinental ballistic missile of illogic into an entirely suppositional area. What they want the money for is neither here nor there. They need the money. They want the money. If they have a dog, they get more money.
Usually for drink or anything else, because usually they're down and outs and dropouts from society. They're not in a position to look after themselves. That's why they're homeless. So if they're not in a position to look after themselves, then surely they are not in a position to be able to look after a dog.
You see, the difference between you, Chris, and the rest of my audience is that we care.
I do care, because
You
I
don't
work
care.
in a caring profession.
What's that then? Window cleaning?
No, I'm a social worker.
You're a social worker?
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's have a look at what you do then, shall we?
Not in the social work that I work with the most difficult children in society.
Oh, and who are they?
We lock them up.
Oh, do you? That's nice.
Yeah.
Why is that then?
Because sometimes they murder and rape people.
Oh, so you work with underage murderers and rapists, do you? Yes. And what does your psychiatrist have to say about you, Chris?
Maybe I should have been there when I was younger.
Yes, maybe you should, shouldn't you?
Yeah, but
Really?
what's that got to do with the argument?
The argument is that we care and you don't care about beggars.
Well, I
you
do
think
care
that-
about the homeless
'cause
people.
you think they're all drug addicts and alcoholics.
I never said that they
Yes,
were
you
all
did.
drug addicts.
Yes, you did. We're taping this call. I can prove to you that now you suffer from some kind of selective Alzheimer's because you then deny what you said just 2 minutes ago. My God, if I was a 14-year-old disturbed child and I was being counselled by you, I'm not sure whether I wouldn't be throwing the furniture around the room, pal.
What I said was that most people that are homeless do have drug or drink problems.
Most. Now that's 51%, isn't it?
No, that's not. That's a high proportion. Of
Give me the
most people
proportion.
actually do.
Give me the number.
Eh?
Give me the number.
I've no idea. You give me the number.
So you're guessing.
No, I'm not guessing.
You are guessing. You're guessing. You're guessing. You say most homeless people are alcoholics.
Have got a bottle in their pocket.
Most. What percentage?
Most of them.
What percentage?
80% of the ones that I see.
Your thinking is so flabby and so shabby. I wouldn't trust you as a witness. I wouldn't trust you as a witness if you got a look at the man 6 inches away from him.
But you're only talking about one person.
What are you talking about?
You were talking about the man that you saw that does the doors away from talk radio, weren't you?
Yeah.
So you're testing your theory on one person.
Well, you see, I get out and about, Chris.
Where is talk radio?
What do you mean, where is talk radio?
Where is it based?
Well, we like to think of ourselves as being omnipresent. We are wherever your radio is, Chris.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So do you live in a big city? Is it based in a big city?
It's based
with
in
a
a
homeless problem.
It's based in a big city, yes.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Well, Coventry's quite a big city. It
Not as
doesn't
big
have
as London, though.
It doesn't have a huge. It doesn't have a huge homeless problem.
Yes, it does, actually.
But invariably.
Yes, it does, because if it has a problem at all, that's huge.
Well, I would agree with
and if
that.
You're a homeless person,
but
if you're a homeless person in Coventry and you hear
not in comparison
Chris with his
some cities,
tin pot little job saying that it isn't a problem in Coventry, how are they going to feel? They'll be round your gaff, won't they?
I never said it's as big a problem.
You said it isn't a problem. You said it's not a problem in Coventry.
But you never allow people to finish, do you, Tommy? And you jump on your little bandwagon.
I only interrupt when people get boring.
My
job, like alcohol, is to make other people interesting, Chris. Although I'm struggling with you.
Oh, and you're the most interesting person in the world.
Well, that's what I'm told.
Well, somebody's telling you lies, Thomas.
Well, a lot of people then, in that case, Chris, are lying. Isn't that funny? You're like that woman who's watching her son at the Trooping of the Colour, you know? And all these soldiers are walking past left, right, leading with their left foot. except for one of them. And she says to her friend, this mother, she says, oh, look, my young Tom's the only one in step. That's you, isn't it? The whole of the world's wrong. But Chris has got it right.
I never said the whole of the world was wrong.
Look, I can hear all these 14-year-old murderers and rapists who are crying out for your company, so I better let you go.
Why?
Why? I explained, because you're boring.
You haven't answered my original point.
I've answered that point 4 times this afternoon already.
So therefore, I'm not alone in my thoughts.
No, you're not. You're not alone. You're not. You're
right. You're right in your isolated idea.
You're not alone in your ability not to listen.
But you're always right, aren't you, Thomas?
I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. There is a difference.
I'll tell you when you wasn't right.
I'm not interested in history, Chris. I like to look forward rather than back.
See ya.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. Russell calls now from Sheffield. Russell, we're discussing the proposition that if we were to provide British beggars with free rescue dogs who would otherwise have been put down, everybody's happy. What do you say?
Hi, Tom.
Russell.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because they'd be safer at night, both of them, dog and beggar.
Yes.
I reckon. And also, there'd probably be less burglaries because shopkeepers could pay them a little bit of money to sit in the doorway with a dog, and there'd probably be less burglaries.
Russell, thank you for your constructive thoughts. Andy is next in Essex. Andy, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Hi, Tommy.
Andy.
Tommy, give them the dogs.
Give them the dogs. Give them the dogs.
They will earn more money. And what we could do is subsidise the railway fares, right? And they could move to the suburbs.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, I think what a lot of people who have difficulty with this idea need to consider is if they were able to ask the dogs whether they would, A, like to be put down by being electrocuted in a fridge freezer, as discussed earlier from that pet bereavement counsellor from Ireland, or B, go to work for somebody who really loved them and needed them. And I know dogs can't talk, but what do you think they'd say, Andy?
They wouldn't want the needle or the fridge, would they?
No, they wouldn't.
They just wouldn't want it.
They wouldn't want a fridge.
No, and you could have a sliding scale. You could have a scale to say that the more elderly and infirm the beggar, the worse dog they could give them. So, you know, because their need would be greater, wouldn't it? So they'd need a really bad-looking dog.
Yeah, I mean, what good are mongrels anyway?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, who's breeding mongrels? Do people breed mongrels? Do they go, oh, for sale, 12, you know, beautiful mongrel pups?
Yeah. We could set up processing plants so that when they died, either one of them, they could process them so the other one could eat them.
I assume that dogs are incinerated when they've been put to sleep rather than reprocessed.
Yeah, but if they need to eat them, then they've got to be processed, don't they?
You know, in 101 Dalmatians, all she wanted was a dog pelt coat.
Yep.
Okay. When you think of the number of dogs that have to be put down, doesn't it seem a waste to you that all of that is burned?
Yeah. All that meat.
There's that.
Yeah.
Andy, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Jan is on the line from the Isle of Wight. Jan, welcome to Talk Radio. Hello.
Hi, my dear.
Darling.
Dogs.
Dogs.
My passion.
There.
No, my dear. I think that everybody should have the right to own a dog.
Yes.
After all, they're not furry little humans with 2 legs, are they? They're dogs.
They're dogs.
Don't matter, do they? But everybody has the right to own a dog. We have to set up a system, and I think it should be financed by government. And we'd have to have them annually vaccinated, and of course they'd have to have their boy bits off and their girl bits out, wouldn't they? Or you'd be having too many puppies on the streets. Be a problem, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So we'd have to have annual vaccines given free, and we'd have to have spaying and castration done free. It's about £100 per dog. The bigger the dog, the more expensive it becomes. Because they may well have to be hospitalised after surgery because you probably couldn't keep them on the streets because the environment might not be quite clean enough after a surgical procedure. So my idea is the government should finance it. They should have 3-month checkups because we've got parasitic control to take care of. Fleas are a problem. Have you been bitten by a flea, Tommy?
I haven't had that pleasure.
It's not a particularly good pleasure. So we'd have to have parasitic control, or if they went in somewhere like Marks and Spencer's, we'd have an enormous problem. Wouldn't be very nice to pick up some new knickers or something and got fleas in it. Then we have lice and ticks.
Yes.
Then we have tapeworms and rounds.
You know what I read at the weekend?
Pardon?
There was a programme on television, one of these fly-on-the-wall programmes, about a big posh shop which sells, amongst other things, men's and women's clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And did you know that when somebody brings back an item of clothing claiming that it has not been worn, okay, and asks for a refund or an exchange, they have a team of 3 people. Did you see this?
Tell me more.
They have a team of 3 people whose job is to identify whether or not the garment has been worn.
Well, look what an asset dogs would be with their acute sense of smell.
Exactly.
We could put them in the big stores.
Exactly, because these...
And they could fund the vagrants' dogs.
These 3 people have to sniff the clothing.
Dogs had solved a problem, wouldn't they?
I was aghast, and I can't think of a more bizarre job, although I once saw somebody working at a holiday camp where I was a redcoat doing a job involving waste disposal, which I simply shan't relate on the radio, although if you want to drop me a line, which was even more bizarre, demeaning, and possibly dangerous than sniffing clothing to find out whether it has been...
Well, Tommy, let's get back to your subject of dogs for less fortunate people. I think, yes, it's a jolly good idea. Why not? I think the supermarkets could give them free food. Of course, vet bills are expensive. If you know a dog gets poorly, breaks a leg, it can run into £800. But if the government funded it, there'd be no problem.
Yes.
But it'd need a patron, and I think you do well to be at the top, being it was your idea.
Thank you for your call. To Tony now, who calls from Birmingham. Tony, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy. How are you?
I'm well, thank you for asking. Yourself?
I'm fine, thank you.
There.
I think it's an excellent idea to give beggars dogs. I think they should... If these dogs are going to be put down anyway, they could train the beggars to do the same sort of job, so in times of crisis, when they're really hungry, they could kill the dogs themselves. And then...
Yes, thank you, Tony. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Far too many dogs are put to sleep in Britain today because nobody wants them. And there are far too many people who are friendless in Britain, footloose and fancy-free, perhaps living rough, certainly asking people if they have any spare change. We're told that you're more likely to have sufficient income from that kind of a profession if you have a heartstring tugger, such as a dog, in tow on a piece of string. So why don't we solve these 2 pressing problems with one simple solution? Give everyone who begs for a living in Britain a free rescued dog who would otherwise have been put to sleep. Now, who can complain about this idea? Mike calls from Sittingbourne. Mike, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy. There's a little bit of merit in what you're saying, not a lot, but a little bit. I.e., some people, some of the beggars do look after their dogs. They have dogs. They do look after them, some of them. But some of them don't. The wino types don't, can't. The junkies don't and can't. The care and the community lot don't and can't.
Well, there's an awful lot of people who have homes, you know, and middle-class incomes who also don't look after their dogs, Mike. So I think it's we have to be careful here. We mustn't start singling out beggars as a separate section of society.
They're hardly the ideal people to...
Well, now, I can't go along with this, sir.
So the RSPCA are wrong, then?
Well, this is prejudice, isn't it?
So the RSPCA are wrong?
Until you meet individuals, OK, and obviously we would, when they turned up asking for their dog, we'd find out just what they were like as best we could. But we can't say you can't have a dog because you're a beggar.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yeah, well, I do. I rehome dogs, and I do say that to all of them, because you can't vet them and check them out. And you have to vet them and check them out, as you would do with children. And incidentally, there are approximately 9,000...
Well, who are you to judge people? What kind of training have you had in judging people's ability to look after animals?
Experience.
Experience isn't the same, is it?
As training, no, I train other people.
So you're not trained, but you train other people?
Yes.
Charming.
I mean, someone has to learn themselves, don't they? I mean, there are people capable of teaching themselves, you know?
No, but there are courses you could go on. You could take A-level psychology, and then you'd at least understand a little bit more about what makes human beings tick.
No, the reverse can be true. You can, to a degree, learn by how people treat their animals and what they do with them as to what makes them tick.
Well, who says how? Who's to decide how a dog is supposed to be treated anyway?
Anybody concerned about animal welfare.
Well, that's them then, isn't it? That's beggars. They're entitled to their view as well then, aren't they?
They're not concerned about animal welfare, most of them. Some of them are.
You see, like a previous caller, we're getting into... We're really blackballing this section of society, aren't we? For why? Because...
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
For why? Because
I've offered several beggars to come and help me in the sanctuary. With free food and free housing and a bit of pocket money.
Maybe you have, in which case, then why are you so flippantly dismissing this section of society?
Refuse.
Out of hand.
They all refuse.
On that basis alone, you're prepared to damn all beggars in Britain?
No, I talk to them. I talk to them a lot, because I'm in contact with them a lot.
Yes, but we've heard you damning them as being heartless animal haters.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, more or less. That's more or less what you said. Yes,
no, I didn't say that.
What did you say then? What are you saying?
Well, I thought you had a fantastic memory. I did not say that they were animal haters.
Well, what are you saying?
A lot of them aren't capable of looking after animals. I don't know where they are half the time, the winos and the junkies.
Oh, that's all right. Then
and the lunatics.
I take back what I said. You weren't suggesting that they hated animals, merely that they're winos, lunatics and incapable of looking after animals. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I misrepresented your cultured views, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And incidentally,
yes?
the answer to the dog problem is to stop all these unwanted dogs being born. Stop irresponsible people breeding unwanted dogs. That is the answer, because
what do you bother with dogs for anyway, Mike? What do you bother with dogs for, you lot? What do you need dogs for?
I like animals.
But why?
I even like some people.
Why do you like animals?
Well,
you don't
animals.
like... You don't like
them. I like to see them enjoy themselves, being happy, having fun, running about, doing things, simple, natural things that make animals happy.
Well, why don't you get yourself a useful interest? A constructive interest?
Well,
There's plenty of other more useful things to do.
I'm very interested in most things.
Yes, but you're most interested in dogs.
I'm most interested in dogs, yeah, because you can't do everything. I mean,
that's weird, Mike.
I'm not a genius with a multi-personality. I have to specialise to a degree.
Well, it's weird.
Sorry?
It's weird.
Is it?
Preferring dogs to humans.
It's not as weird as what you're doing.
Oh, I'm weird.
Some of the things you come out with, although you try to wind people up half the time.
It's humanity I care about.
Some of the weird things that you come out with, my friend.
Do you know there's nothing more weird than a creature which turns its back on its own species and runs to another kind. That's weird.
Turns its back on its own species and runs to another kind.
That's you, Mike.
That's me, is it?
That's you, Mike.
You reckon?
I know. You've told us.
Yeah. Not at all.
You care more about dogs than people.
Unfortunately, Tommy, people's worst enemy are themselves, and I include myself.
Philosophy is it now, Mike?
People's worst enemy are themselves.
Philosophy now, is it?
Sorry?
Philosophy now, is it?
Well, everyone's a philosopher. Some are good, some are bad at it,
Oh, Mike, I'll pull up a stool to your rock then, plonk yourself down, and, make your loincloth comfy, and give us a bit of your wisdom. Off you go.
Bit of your wisdom? Right, like Mahatma Gandhi states, right, until we can learn to appreciate and respect animals, there is no hope for the human race.
Well, Hitler could have said that. He was a vegetarian.
I'm talking about Gandhi. I'm not talking about Hitler.
I'm saying Hitler could have said it. He cared more about animals than Gandhi did.
I wouldn't say that.
I would.
Well, that's your opinion.
Well, that's because you don't know anything about Hitler.
So he made sure he didn't drop any bombs on the animals, did he?
He tried to avoid animal sanctuaries, yes.
Get out of it.
If you'll notice, he bombed cities rather than the fields. That's why they sent all the children to live in the countryside, man.
Yeah, but all the dogs are in the cities, not in the fields.
Why didn't Hitler bomb cow fields then?
Cow fields?
Yes.
Because cows can't fight.
We don't know that, though, do we?
Not unless you get them very close quarters.
We don't know the motive, do we, for the Luftwaffe's bombing patterns? It could have been humanitarian. Not humanitarian, it could have been animalitarian. Mike, you're talking absolute rubbish. I've never heard such nonsense in all my life. Go away.
You have. Listen to yourself.
Phil's on the line from West London. Phil, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Phil.
You are a genius, unlike what the other caller was just suggesting. Do you remember Oliver Twist, written by Dickens, the best beggar there ever was? Sykes. He was played by Oliver Reed. And what did he have? A dog. He had a dog, and it went with him absolutely everywhere. It was like part of the furniture.
And Hattie Jakes.
And Hattie Jakes?
What?
And I like the pseudonym you've got for Jake. Because last week I was with a taxi driver going through London. We got stuck in a jam, and there was this disused parking lot with a sort of a shack in the corner, and he pointed it out, this sort of old Nissen hut. He said, oh, that's the Talk Radio studios over there. And pacing about in the doorway was a very scruffy character, half-finished bottle of scotch in his pocket, fag in his mouth, pacing up and down. And he said, there's one of the DJs getting psyched up to go into the studios. I said, oh, which one? He said, it's that Boyd fellow. But his real name is Jake, and he lives sort of 6 doors up. But he's got this pseudonym which he uses on the air. I think this is a very clever show, because what you're wanting from everybody is a dog for yourself.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. We'll let Phil get back to the advertising industry, where I gather times are hard. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. And it was a lot more reasonable than we thought, but at the same time, obviously I've got to pay it off. So don't, as they say elsewhere, touch that dial. This is Talk Radio, and in 10 minutes' time, we're going to be sweeping clean the lines and inviting callers into a little aperture of radio designed to give you an opportunity to get it off your chest, whatever it is that makes you angry. The Angry Hour from 4 until 4:45 on this show on Talk Radio. But at the moment, we're discussing a possible solution to two big problems. One, the loneliness and income difficulties faced by people who are begging for a living in Britain today, and two, the number of perfectly healthy dogs who are no longer wanted and have to be put down. If we were to provide every beggar in Britain with a free rescue dog, well, hey, they'd have a roof over their heads. Charles calls from Slough. You're on Talk Radio. Charles, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Charles?
Tommy, you're wrong about saying every beggar should have dogs. Hear me, Tommy?
Yes, I can.
Because when you see these beggars, I know one in Slough, what goes down the subway regular, but every morning he arrives with his wife and little kid in a pushchair. They go into a local cafe and have a nice meal. His wife's quite smartly dressed, and then he puts on a rough old coat. He's got the issue, and he sits in a doorway with a dog, and he begs all day long. And then at the night time, he goes home again with his wife. They've got more money than me, who have to work for a living. And have you ever seen one of these beggars with a poop scoop and plastic bag?
I've got to let you go, unfortunately, Charles. Not because it was a lousy line, but because you're a lousy call. Bev calls from Oldham. Bev, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Bev.
Hi. I think that your proposition for beggars to have dogs is diabolical. I assumed when I first turned on the radio you were doing it as a wind-up.
No.
Are you not?
Of course not.
No.
These are two serious problems, Bev.
I think they are serious problems, and I think that they are so serious that they need to be tackled independently of each other. I don't like calling them beggars. I prefer to call them homeless people.
Well, they might not be homeless people. They might just be people who have homes but can't afford to keep them, so they beg.
Okay,
you don't know.
All right.
What's wrong? What has everybody got a problem with the word begging for?
Well, I don't know. I think it tars all the people that are on the streets that have a dog with the same brush.
Look, they're beggars. If you beg, you're a beggar.
All right. So I think
all right?
Those that have a dog because they love dogs, that's different. That's totally different. But to just give people a dog as a means for them to make more money, I think is wrong, because who is going to look after the dog?
The beggar.
But if they wanted a dog in the first place, they'd have got one.
Well, how?
How? Because you pick up I won't mention the name of the paper, but you pick up the free paper that has the free adverts in it 3 times a week.
Well, but you don't get a free paper.
And this is the problem. This is the problem. This is why.
Bev, Bev, welcome to Talk Radio, but this is pathetic thinking. You've got about another 3 weeks of hard listening before you're up to speed with us. This is awful.
I don't think so.
This is such weak,
I actually
flaccid,
run a dog rescue in Oldham.
Outdated nonsense.
No,
Look,
it's not. I tell you what's outdated.
Right, well, how many dogs have you killed?
None. We don't. We have, because rather than sitting on my bum waiting for people to come in, I get off my bum and I get on the radio, I get in the newspapers, I get on the television, and I appeal for good homes, but not just any old home where people are prepared to give me the money for the dog. No, I want homes for the dog for life, and that involves responsible pet ownership. And responsible pet ownership means neutering your dog. Okay, so that the dogs are not in the other rescue centres to be killed after 7 days.
All right, Bev, you're a wonderful human being. We're all immensely impressed. Goodness me, it's great to know that there are real live Blue Peter presenter types doing actual jobs in the real world. But Bev, fine. You're looking after the middle classes wonderfully well. You're giving the middle classes plenty of reason to feel even more smug and proud about themselves than they've already got. Marvellous. Your pedigree dogs.
I don't deal with pedigree dogs. It's mutts. It's mongrels I deal with.
Fine. But, Bev, there are a lot of dogs being put down.
There are. And the only way to stop it happening is for people to be responsible when they take on a dog.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? You see, that actually doesn't mean anything.
It does mean...
It doesn't mean anything because it doesn't convert into real action. It's just chattering nonsense.
It's not. I tell you what it really comes down to. It comes down to education. The people
shut it.
The people
forget it. That's like saying any one of the world's problems where you should get up off your backside and actually come up with a decent, sensible, workable solution to it. You go,
what's the solution?
We'll teach people not to be horrible.
If you let these people, beggars or homeless people, have one of these dogs from the rescue centres...
You don't like them, do you?
What?
Beggars.
I do, actually.
Well, why don't you give them a dog?
Because I don't believe that they have the means to look after the dog properly. And I don't believe...
Well, what training have you got to decide that?
Sorry?
What training have you got to decide that?
It's not a matter of training.
Nothing.
It's a matter of seeing it. It's a matter.
Are you trained?
All I want to ask you, Tommy.
Are you a trained animal
before
handler?
You cut me off.
Are you a trained animal handler?
No, I have 8 of my own dogs.
Is that it then? That's
Yes,
the level of your expertise.
Yeah, but can I ask you one question? One serious question about your proposition. If the people had a dog, the beggars had a dog, would there be a neutering program so that those dogs didn't produce more dogs to end up in the rescue centre to be put to sleep?
I'll tell you what, they wouldn't be having a go at somebody's rug like your lot are in the background right now.
I'm going to go my slipper, but...
Fine, lovely, marvellous. Free call 0500 10 53 89. The Angry Hour is next. The lines are open now. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.